Let's talk about something else, man, because there's other stuff to get into to really kind of dive into this. Now let's talk about some bad stuff, man, because my God, like, I don't know what's going on lately with some game companies, but some game companies can't catch a break. Let's talk about Capcom. And Capcom's been pissing people off over the last like day or two. So recently, if you haven't seen, Dragon's Dogma 2 came out recently. A lot of people were excited about this game. A lot of people were hyped up. The game got some pretty decent reviews. It was like around in the mid to high 70s. I want to say the last one that I saw on Metacritic, I believe, was about 77, give or take. But a lot of people were really highly anticipating this. But apparently in the last day or two, since I actually started reading up on all this, Capcom pissed everybody off because they put microtransactions into the game, and some of the microtransactions, not only were they not really live or around during the review process, but they also include things like charging players for fast travel, charging players to be able to create a new character, and many other different things. Like, I'm looking at the article here in IGN, right? There's a bunch of paid DLC. Okay, now keep in mind, I do have to say, and I do have to mention, just to be fair in this entire story, all the stuff that I am going to mention could also be done in the game. Like, a lot of people have been saying that ever since all this stuff came out. A lot of the defenders of Dragon's Dogma 2, which I totally understand, but I'll give my thoughts about all that in just a second. But I just want to make that very clear for everybody. So, in its notes to PC players, Capcom listed all the items that could be obtained in-game or as paid DLC items. That includes Artemorphosis, which is a character editor, change pawn inclinations, okay, the warp location marker, which is pretty much fast travel, restore the dead to life, rift crystals, which they have different iterations of it, or like, numbers of them that you could get, points to spend on Beyond the Rift, the Escape the Gowl, and then the Harpy Lure item. All these things could be obtained in the game in various different points in various different ways. Now, here's the thing about all this, and I feel like this is partially Capcom's fault for this. And the reason why I say that is because if all these things could be done in the game, that's totally fine. Like, I have no issue, and I've been open about this in the past. When a game has microtransactions for stuff like this, as long as you're able to still play the game without a problem and be able to get all those items without having to pay money, there should be no issue. It shouldn't become a hindrance to getting those things just because there's a microtransaction for it. The ability to fast travel, to me anyway, in an RPG or any game for that matter, is a basic function. To me, that shouldn't be held behind a paywall. But if it's there, and then there happens to be another option alongside that in order for people to do stuff or to get further ahead by paying, a couple dollars or something, that's an option. That's not hindering the original experience of the game. Whoops, there goes my chair. Hit my chair with my foot, right? So anyway, like I was saying, it shouldn't be a hindrance to them, okay? And if it's just there as an option, that's not a big deal. That's not a problem. It shouldn't be something that everybody makes a big deal about. The problem with this, with Dragon's Dogma 2, specifically this one with Capcom, is because they weren't clear about it to a lot of people, according from what I'm reading from a lot of people, as well as also all the reviewers and the critics that got the game early beforehand. They were told that there are going to be microtransactions in the game, but they weren't given like a full, like, detailed rundown of the extent of it. At least that's what I'm reading. I saw a couple people talking about it on social media. Let me see if I could actually pull that up and I could show you guys, where a lot of people were just open. They were just pretty pissed off about it. They were just mad upset because it's like, look, it just looks mad suspect with all this. Like, there's a whole bunch of things in here. Like, I'm even looking now at some of these right here. Look at that, the Act Man here. He goes, saw some gameplay of Dragon's Dogma 2 and thought it looked really cool. Then I checked the Steam page and what the F is this? Isn't this a single-player game, so many microtransactions? And it's all the stuff that we pretty much just talked about now. I know I saw one from Jez Corden recently, okay, where he was talking about this. I don't know if I could find it here, but I know I saw him talking about it, and he was just like, look, they mentioned a note to us in the review details, and they marked it with spoilers and stuff. So not all of us really look at this, because of the spoilers in the game, because it could actually kind of impact our review and our overall look at the game itself. But those microtransactions weren't live. So all this stuff went live after the reviews went up and after the game was already released to the general public. I feel like if you're going to have stuff like that in a game, if you're a publisher, if you're a developer, if you're going to have that stuff in the game, you got to have that stuff and to the point where people that are reviewing the game can actually speak on it, because all of that is need to know information. Like, that's like really important. And that's like, to a point where, it could impact or influence the buying decision for a consumer, for a player that's out there that's interested in this, because there's a lot of people that are apparently upset. Now, however you feel about that, some of them do have their own opinions and they could be upset about that. They probably would have never bought the game or probably would have waited, for whatever reason, whether they like this or not, before buying Dragon's Dogma 2 because of that information. I feel like if Capcom was a little bit more transparent or a little bit more open and a little bit much more kind of like level-headed with the way that they actually delivered this info, not making it kind of come off as so shady or at least, so suspect. And the reason why I say that, because if we go back to that article I was looking at IGN, they apologized for it. So they knew already that they kind of messed up, and they're probably more than likely they're apologizing because of the crazy reaction, because they got a lot of feedback on social media and also on Steam. The game, I should also mention, got review bombed, which is never a good thing. I'm not really a fan of review bombing. I think it's really stupid, and it's really just like a knee-jerk reaction from a lot of people on social media, especially. And I just feel like if things were handled a little bit much more careful on Capcom's end with all this stuff, I don't think we would be having this much of a big controversy with it, at least within the last few days. I still think people are going to play the game. People like the game for what it is. Like I said, it's in the high 70s or mid to high 70s for Metacritic, but still, stuff like this could give a really bad view or a bad outlook on your game. And it's stuff that I feel like, at least, based on everything that I've seen, could be easily avoided if they just, again, maybe delivered the info or presented it a little bit better. But that's just my opinion on the matter. I haven't played Dragon's Dogma 2. I wasn't planning on playing it, but I am like keeping, informed about all the stuff that's going on with it. But let me know some of your thoughts about Dragon's Dogma 2 and all this microtransaction stuff down below in the comment section. Does this influence your outlook on the game itself? Do you think that everybody's maybe being a little bit overzealous with their reactions, maybe reacting a little bit too quickly? Tell me your thoughts about it down below in the comment section.